Okay, as LaFay said, it is the 10-year anniversary of Head High Media, and so I wanted to start off by talking about how I've always planned in decades and lived in the moment. You can see on the left is my 20s, where I call that investing in my story. On the right was honing my craft, and then there in the middle, launching my enterprise, which is Head High Media. Head High Media is a full-service video production company, and our headquarters, Head High Studio, is based at 654 King Street. And tonight is a great chance to reflect on 10 years in business and 10 years in this space. The space itself is, over the course of the last 10 years, has done everything from photo shoots to video shoots to film premieres to art shows, and it really is indescribable the amount of creative energy and magic that has taken place in that unassuming 25 by 40 foot studio that we're very grateful for. Going all the way back to the beginning, 2014, where it all started, Shepard Fairey came through with the Halsey Gallery, and we were capturing a documentary film for the Halsey on his mural installations. And on one particular afternoon, there was a creative gathering, an impromptu gathering, and it reaffirmed my decision to take over that space, which was a bit of a risk, but it also launched my love for street art. Coincidentally, at the same time, the agency was going gangbusters and leading to a lot of corporate travel. We found success making videos for Silicon Valley tech companies such as Adobe, Autodesk, and Oracle, and we were consistently deploying crews to New York, London, Miami, and San Francisco. It was obviously a very exciting time, and in our downtime between those shoots, I found myself with my newly renewed love of street art, taking street art walks through Bushwick in New York, Shoreditch in London, Wynwood Walls in Miami, and the Clarion Alley in San Francisco. And I kept finding myself saying, somebody should do a street art corridor in Charleston, in which I said, fuck it, I'm somebody. So, armed with 8 unpainted walls, a moderate marketing budget, the permission and blessing of our landlord, Frank Haygood, and Shepard Fairey as an anchor wall, I set about to start a street art corridor in Charleston, South Carolina. The first of our artists that we brought in was Jason Woodside. Jason, I discovered him in Berkeley. You see that top left? That was our office in East Bay at our WeWork. I was fond of that mural, reached out to the artist. Turned out he was a surf bro, much like myself, and he was a great steward and great person to bring in to do our first mural, which was kind of a nod to the agency. Secondarily, also displaying a lot of San Francisco pride that I had for having our agency out on the West Coast, I brought in the legendary San Francisco graffiti writer Apexer. I first discovered his work in The Mission. Interestingly, for Apexer, he came in and totally did his mural freehand, and it was inspired by the traffic patterns of the crosstown. Everything was going great, and then the shit completely hit the fan with COVID, and our agency came to a screeching halt. We started to wonder if there would be an agency. We're definitely wondering if there was going to be a space, and for one point in time, we considered giving it all up. Reverse engineered a solution to that problem and decided to launch Head High Studio, the brightest walls in the city. This was going to be a free standalone studio apart from the agency where we're going to focus on shoots, shows, and walls. The shoots being a full production studio available to photographers and directors, the shows being a pop-up gallery at the intersection of street art, and then finally the walls, a curated street art corridor. The shoots were the first to come back online after the pandemic. Quickly, the 2 keys to success to renting a photo studio in Charleston is free parking and avocado toast from the Daily. We were very thankful to get the energy back into the space, and that became enabled us to start doing the shows. Some of the tenets or boundaries that we had to keep for the shows to make sure they were sustainable was limited resources and an active production calendar. They had to be very quick, so we designed pop-up shows like swells. There were short bursts of energy with lulls in between. So we focused on 4-hour pop-ups. The shows are always free, and the magic is in the opening. Secondarily was the production value of the space. We had an installation partnership with a great craftsman and friend who's here tonight, Jonathan Ripkema. We had AV and lighting support from our good friends at Technical Event Company, and we were able to repurpose the production equipment and studio lighting, which enabled us to become the brightest walls in the city. Thirdly was authenticity. We wanted to be an underground gallery best discovered by word of mouth or serendipity. There were no signs, there were no ads, there were no associations. There was an absence of financial pressure, giving me full creative freedom. And really, the collection of shows is meant to be its own sort of exhibit with an organic pace and lineage of artists. And look at that, over the it ended up pacing about one a month. We've done all these amazing gallery shows with a list of artists that I'm sure many of you are familiar with. Always opening the door, always welcoming the Charleston art community in, always showcasing some local music, and always trying to share art with brilliant people with the Charleston community. That took care of our shows. Next was the walls. We made a dedication to complete the street art corridor. The first way we did that was a show called There's a Light That Never Goes Out, where we're fortunate to bring back Jason Woodside, bring in Adele Renault, who's a Belgian street artist, and her husband Pref, who is a London-based street artist. Next, to round out our last walls, was Hawks, who is an insane street artist from Miami, whose renegade style was a nice juxtaposition to Giuliana Lupacchino and her design and her very fine brushwork. And then no street art corridor in Charleston is complete without Patch Whiskey, our local street art legend. For the Trim Lords, Burnouts, and Groms, we've continued to do surf shows in the space. A personal favorite of mine was when we welcomed in Andy Davis, who's a surf art legend, and his partner John Wegner as a surfboard shaper. And just recently when we brought in pipeline master and Murals Inlet local Cam Richards to premiere his free time film. Lastly, as I said at the beginning, plan in decades and live in the moment, and no greater reward has come to me from Head High Studio than the work that I've done with Taylor Faulkner, following her show Small Breaks, and Julia Deckman following her show The Choreography of Color, where they befriended my daughter Tucker and helped her with her street art project Kiwi is Missing. And then secondarily, working with Creighton Barrett following his show Low Country for Old Men, where he literally sparked my son's love for skateboarding. And if nothing else makes it worth it, the picture of that backside slash on the last side certainly does. So that is a summation of 10 years in Head High Studio. We will plan to continue on into my 50s, and I hope to see everybody in the studio. Thank you very much.